All right, we're live. Already week 4. John, these weeks are going by so fast. So
They go by faster and faster as we get towards our final destination.
that's right. That's right. Yeah, so we thought we'd take a second here to remind our audience of what we're doing, to recap the last 3 weeks, and to also showcase some of our other products that we're bringing to market. Now, a blockchain ecosystem is more than just the blockchain smart contracts. You also need to have 2 other major components. That's the wallet itself, the crypto wallet, and also a block explorer. Now, Supra is a multi-chain solution, meaning we interact and act as a hub, communicating to multiple ecosystems. We're already servicing on the order of 80 blockchains, right? Different mainnets and testnets, et cetera, many ecosystems. Layer 1s, Layer 2s, Layer 3s even, right? And these things are going to grow. So Supra is going to be connected and delivering our data to many ecosystems. But Supra is also a smart contract platform, right? A multi-VM smart contract platform. And our value proposition compared to everyone else, the thing that makes us unique is this notion of full vertical integration. And this is what we're going to be going over our previous conversations. What is it that Supra does that's different than others? And yeah, John, if you want to share a little bit for some of our new folks tuning in, what does vertical integration mean? What are we doing out here at Supra?
Yeah, I think an interesting place to start is what is the general status quo for applications that built on blockchain today? So if you have a DeFi app or a dApp, you build on, let's just say, Ethereum L2. You use an external service for Oracle, which is external protocol, external bridge, external automation service. These are all different networks, by the way. External VRF. Our team at Supra, our researchers, our developers know that this is a very inefficient solution because what it does is it introduces different security assumptions of the L1 itself. And it also introduces a lot of different latency from every other network that you introduce. And so we joke about this, but it's actually quite interesting and real to think about and to visualize. If you think about this L1, this dApp that uses all these different external services, it looks like a Frankenstein dApp. It's like an application that has these different appendages on it, like an Oracle here and a bridge over here. And you can visualize it to be funny, a Frankenstein dApp. And Supra solves this, like with what Josh mentioned, a fully vertically integrated blockchain, making all these services natively available on one layer 1. So you have the layer 1 itself with native Oracle, native bridging, native automation, native VRF with multi-VM support. It allows us to keep the security assumption of the L1 itself with 0 latency. So this design helps enable what we call super dApps with faster performance, shared security, lower cost, and very little scale limitations. And also multi-VM support allows builders from any ecosystem to deploy into Supra. So you have Ethereum app that was already built on Supra that is launching on many different L2s. They can also deploy on Supra. You have a Move app built on Aptos or Sui. They can move onto Supra. And then you have a Solana VM app that could also deploy directly onto Supra. So we're really excited about the idea of enabling what we call super applications or super dApps that can have the shared security of the L1, but also have 0 latency for these different other services.
That's right. So imagine for the developers out there, if your smart contract application had access to price feed data every single block, had access to cross-chain communication natively in the system, had access to what was called zero block delay execution for automation services, right? Deterministic, transparent, unstoppable. That's what that's all about. What kind of things could you build? It's faster, it's cheaper because there's less gas tokens to manage across all these other systems. And it's safer, right? Because you don't have to, this Frankenstein dApp thing, you're using this thing, that thing, this thing, that thing, fine. You're as weak as the weakest link that you use, right? Your whole application has now inherited the weakest link security, right? So we're really excited about what we're bringing to market. We think it's going to enable application developers to create new things and use cases that we haven't ever seen before. Yeah, John, you want to share a little bit more before I jump into the kind of overview? There's a lot to cover, many slides, but we'll make it nice and snappy. It's a good summary.
I just will just say really quickly, it's been a long journey for Josh and I. It's been 6.5 years. And we started this journey when Josh pitched me a consensus algorithm that theoretically could outperform the incumbent L1s at the time. And it's been 6.5 years since then. And when DeFi summer came around, we thought, you know what, instead of going to market as an L1, let's tackle the Oracle problem first by applying L1 security principles to solve the Oracle problem. That's hence Supra Oracles. And of course, we've dropped the name since then because we're close to mainnet and we're just calm now. And as we're about to deploy, we're flipping on the switch and letting people know, hey, we've been building this L1 since day one with these native services. So we're really excited shortly to be able to launch or to be able to have Supra applications launched directly onto Supra.
Yeah, I can't wait for that. It's around the corner.
Yep.
Okay, so let's go ahead and jump into the presentation. There's a lot to cover here. I'm going to go a little bit fast because there's so many things to talk about. Nonetheless, there's our previous webinars as well if you want to go a little bit deeper. So the first webinar was sponsored or excuse me, focused by and presented by Dr. Kate. Dr. Kate, Aniket Kate, is actually pronounced Kate, just so y'all know. If you meet him, say hi, just pronounce his name correctly. But Dr. Kate is the inventor of KZG commitments, right? KZG commitments are utilized in data availability sampling protocols, EigenDA, for example. Ethereum's Layer 2 roadmap utilizes KZG commitments. And of course, if you're in the know, if you know who Dr. Kate is, he's basically a celebrity in the realm of cryptography and blockchain. And more recently, he contributed to a really elegant consensus protocol that has, I'm actually pretty sure it's a state-of-the-art for DAG-based protocols, outperforming, apparently, to my knowledge, Aptos and Sweet. So it's called Sailfish. And Dr. Nebesh, Dr. Kate, others, this is something that's being circulated at academic communities right now, but it's a type of performance that's hard to beat. I think virtually near impossible to beat. So that's really great to have Dr. Kate as our Chief Research Officer. He's been working with us for years, been advising us and giving us feedback through cold emails since 2019. So it's been a wonderful journey together. So I'm going to go through some of his presentation. This format for this overview is going to go through each of our kind of last webinars, just to cutting it down to 5-10 main points each. And then in the end, we're going to sum it all up here. So moving forward, blockchains have three pillars. There's usually data delivery, transaction ordering, and execution. But the goal is to always focus on two things, right? Minimize latency, have more throughput, right? Just like Jeff at Amazon, he was very clear that you can make a business around human nature, meaning people will always want to have cheaper prices and they'll always want those products delivered faster. In blockchain, people are always going to want a transaction to finalize faster. You want to handle block transactions cheaply. That's where throughput comes in. Now, just to go through this here, what's happening is traditional blockchains, you have a block that's proposed, then you have to run a consensus, then you do execution. So 1 step, 2 step, 3 step. Then you can continue the next round. Okay, that's a traditional blockchain design. So it's synchronous in that respect. One thing has to finish, so the next thing can start and go, and so on and so forth. And Solana is in this realm because they do data dissemination, consensus, and execution. It's all tied together. Whereas the next generation blockchains are a little bit different. The kind of observation is what I'll describe. We can effectively, our realization is that we don't have to, and we're not the only ones that realize this, we don't have to tie data delivery, data dissemination, get your block to all the nodes around the entire global world. That doesn't have to slow down the ability to reach consensus, and execution itself does not have to slow down the ability to reach consensus. Consensus means ordering, okay? Like here's a final order of the blocks in the transactions within the blocks. No matter what execution engine you use, if you follow the same ordering of transactions, you'll end up with the same results, right? So decoupling data dissemination delivery from consensus, aka ordering, from execution is it's a relatively new approach. I believe Aptos in Sweden, Facebook, when they're at Facebook, they made this realization first, and we also simultaneously made our own realizations at the same time. So going through this here, moreover, beyond just blockchain consensus, right? There's many other services that a system should handle. We know there is product market fit for oracles. We know there's product market fit for VRF, randomness services. We know there's product market fit for multi-party computation. These things are traditionally considered Oracle services. Now, once again, this is evident by the fact that we're on like 80 ecosystems already, right? Layer 1s, layer 2s, subnets, pair chains, so on and so forth. They all want Oracle data. They all want on-chain activity. They all want to do more interesting things. So what we're trying to do is, let's move forward here, is vertically integrate the stack into a singular blockchain. Now, the key realization is very subtle, but very powerful, which is in the presence of a blockchain ordering consensus system, okay? When you have a blockchain consensus engine, and you have perfect ordering, like everyone in the network agrees on this is the order of the blocks and thus the transactions and the order in which they have to be executed. In the presence of a blockchain, these Oracle services, price feeds, randomness, verifiable compute, they don't actually have to utilize super honest majority, meaning you don't have to use 67% of the entire network to do this verification and calculation. Most traditional designs for Oracle's price feed, VRF, et cetera, they rely on 2/3, 67% of the nodes to do some sort of, to do their computation, right? Now, when we have a blockchain and you randomize those nodes into subcommittees, which we call clans, these Oracle services can actually perform at 51%. It's called an honest majority. So traditionally, most folks are building these Oracle services with super honest majority requirements, whereas we have realized that we can actually do these services in a randomly subset sample of the network called the clan at only 51%. Why is that significant? Subtle. It's significant because we can execute faster. We don't have to wait for 67% of those to come to an agreement before we can complete the computation. We only need 51%, right? And we can remain secure. We can use the blockchain to be the what we call the arbiter or the chain of integrity. Okay, our backbone is the blockchain. Now, there's another major point here to illustrate, which is when you only need to engage 1/2 of a randomized subcommittee versus 2/3 of the entire network. Okay, there's less like block rewards or fees that you have to pay out to each node. So we actually become more economical also. Subtle, but very important point. But really the main one is we can remain as secure, just as secure, while only using 51% of a subcommittee. And the other designs, and Dr. Conte always says, this is a lost opportunity that other protocols are missing. They can be doing the same thing without requiring 2/3 of the entire network to be doing it. So this is a major kind of key insight to us. And in terms of like now we have a blockchain and we vertically integrate different Oracle services and beyond in a single blockchain. So as I mentioned, we have the network itself is called a tribe, and we have multi-tribe designs, which may or may not be necessary. Maybe as we approach global scale, probably we'll have to open up multiple tribes. But a tribe itself is composed of clans. Clans are subcommittees, okay? Now, these clans only need 51% nodes in the subcommittee, to be honest, and the computation is virtually guaranteed to be complete and true. Whereas the tribe, there are some tribe level agreements that are required, meaning you do need 2/3 plus 1 of all the nodes in the system to agree on what. They have to agree on consensus. Turns out that's inescapable, basically, for these BFT by default algorithms. So the tribe does need 67% of the nodes to agree on the blockchain consensus. But while that's occurring, these nodes and clans can be doing the computation for the various Oracle services. Each of these clans can be doing different Oracle services, of which they only have 51% agreements, so they can execute quickly. That's the key insight. Okay, with an arbiter chain, our blockchain that's executed by the tribe, these clans, they can execute in an asynchronous or partially asynchronous setting, meaning you don't have to do things in lockstep. Like this has to finish first. Okay. And this is next. Okay. Then this. Rather, they're just operating at their own speed and we're able to keep on going here. So, All right. Moving forward here. Oops. 1 second. Let's try that again. I was like, you saw we're stuck in the matrix. So now y'all know.
That was a little bit trippy.
Yeah. So let's hit that presentation button again. Here it is. Okay. So I'll try to just keep it as it is at the moment. So effectively, we realized that we can do multiple different services in a singular blockchain, execute across plans. So we can vertically integrate many services. Data dissemination, okay, data delivery. Like, how do you disseminate the data to the network as quickly as possible? Transaction execution. Supra has, and you'll see in the next upcoming webinar or so, our parallel execution strategy for smart contracts and such, and value transfers as well as smart contracts will touch upon it. We have novel parallel execution strategies. We have a novel solution to the subcommittees or their twos or so on and so forth. But moving forward here, let's go ahead and talk about the next week's conversation. That was led by Dr. Joshi. Dr. Joshi used to be a professor at Oxford, worked at Microsoft, I believe Qualcomm, and others. And he's one of the main authors and co-authors of our DOOR protocol and beyond, and he's the lead on our automation network. So what is an automation network? It is a decentralized if this, then that service. Many of you don't know this, but smart contracts on the existing layer ones out there today, they don't have that. That is an Oracle problem. They outsource it to an Oracle network to do that task. But isn't that surprising to most of you? Like, you'd expect smart contracts to be able to automatically do something. But the way it works in today's status quo is that something outside of the network has to trigger the automation. Right. So let's continue through this. So why do we need automations? It's basically, suppose there's some activity, some condition that is met, like the price or time or date or whatever it might be. The automation network has to, it understands those parameters and predicates, and it triggers a transaction with the smart contract. So decentralized if this then that service. Now, an example is, suppose someone wants to buy Bitcoin when it reaches a certain price against the US dollar value, just like an exchange, but in a non-custodial manner and a deterministic manner on chain. Now, it effectively would be the following, right? The price of Bitcoin hits the threshold that you're looking for, just like a limit order. And the automation network knows that, hey, if it hits this price, in this case, the price of Bitcoin goes down, the automation network, the person's intention is go ahead and buy more Bitcoin, like set my limit order, buy something. And the automation network executes on their behalf. Now, this is particularly useful. This particular use case is because Supra has smart contracts, native price feeds, Oracle data, and then automation now can use that to do. Another example is, suppose someone wants to put some amount of their salary towards purchasing X, Y, and Z. So this is an example based off of time. So here's the data to deposit, and here's the data it's been reached. Go ahead and move some funds from this account to this account. So what are the predicates to trigger an automation service? The common ones are time. Okay. The second one might be prices. And the third one might be cross-chain, other blockchain state or state on the blockchain, like some sort of account balance movement or whatever can, such a thing can actually trigger an automation. So talking about cross-chain automation, right? Supra does have two different cross-chain communication protocols. The reason why we have two different cross-chain communication protocols is because one is more suitable for layer 1 to layer 1. Another one is more suitable for layer 2 to layer 1 or layer 2 to layer 2. There's actually differences. But so let's suppose in this example, we're talking about cross-chain automation service. Suppose something happens on one chain. Okay. The automation service through bridge nodes themselves will be full nodes of the source chain and the target chain or destination chain. So they understand what's happening on the source chain. If that system or situation occurs, the bridge nodes can reach consensus, send the proof over to Supra, and trigger the automation. So the bridge nodes are also acting as an automation service. Now, talking about the various triggers again, Oracle price feeds can trigger an automation, time-based triggers, the time, dates time. For example, just to paint you all a picture, you can create a transaction, or we call them a conditional transaction on Supra, where you can state multiple predicates. Whereas you say, for example, if and only if it's January 1st, 2025, excuse me, 2025, yeah, I guess so. And exactly at midnight, right? Bitcoin is under, I'm just throwing out a number, 80K. You can have a condition that says, here are the predicates. Automatically sell some of my Ether if it's under 5,000 and buy more Bitcoin. I'm saying that you can create these types of automations. These are really, it's effectively the types of things that centralized exchanges can do, however, handled in a very decentralized manner. And the world we're moving towards is definitely towards human readable and simple. There's going to be a world where you speak into your kind of edge AI, Jarvis, and you just tell them what you're trying to do, perform the transaction for you. And Supra is uniquely positioned to execute these because as this middleware hub with native price feeds, with automation, with high throughput consensus through low latency consensus through moonshot consensus, we can basically, the idea is that you speak to your edge computing Jarvis, hey, this is what I'm trying to do. It creates your transaction, especially if it's a multi-chain type of situation. It'll create your transaction on Supra on your behalf, and then it can register in the automation network. So speaking of registering your automation, you do have to register your automation to the network. So it's recorded. Our consensus node, our validator nodes, right? They're all going to be aware of this. And what's interesting about this is moving into what we call the platinum service or platinum automation is what we call zero delay execution. It's going to get quite interesting here. So we realized that what we can do is at the end of the block, we can include this automation service to execute at the end of every block. Okay. So if the validator nodes are executing the block, they see this price of Bitcoin, for example, in the previous example was achieved. So the price was 9,000 in that example. Then it knows to execute if the other parameters and predicates are correct as well. If they all evaluate to true, then to execute it immediately, the transaction. In that case, sell a little bit of your ETH to buy more Bitcoin. So what's interesting about this, though, is that our system, unlike other systems, we just have to check if the condition is true. If true, the consensus nodes, these are nodes that are validator nodes. They can basically just immediately execute it. So we call this a zero block delay automation. These implicit automation transactions, if those predicates evaluate to be true, they're going to be included and executed. So this is really great because it's a couple of things. It's deterministic, it's transparent, and it's fast. And we have more information because we have native oracles to do more interesting things. So this is like a superpower. So imagine liquidations of collateral. Okay, a perpetual DEX that has a situation where there's some position that is out of balance, and something needs to liquidate it to keep the system solvent. We think our system can deterministically, transparently, and low latency quickly execute and rebalance on your behalf. There's different types of calculations that are possible with this that can enable many different use cases. Okay, so then in last week, what we talked about are what can this all do, right? And basically, we call these things super dApps. Now, going through this, as you can see, you have a smart contract that exists on some sort of smart contract platform. If it needs oracles, it has to communicate to a third-party network. This is the status quo. What I'm describing is what they're doing today, right? Which I mentioned, we joke about calling them Frankenstein dApps. Use a network, external network for Oracle, use an external network for different nodes that are not part of the underlying layer one automation service, different nodes for the verifiable random function, different nodes or system or networks for processing communication. Now, whatever the weakest link here, if your application uses it, you lose your layer one security guarantee, you inherit the weakest link. Now, this gets even more exacerbated with this notion of layer twos that furthermore require data availability layers, execution layers, settlement layers, and they may need to be using oracles and automation, verifiable around functional project communication services. There's just all these various modules. This is what they call the module or modular blockchain. Now, we are going against the grain at Supra. We think that this is very suboptimal. It's not optimal because it costs more, it's slower, and it's weaker in terms of security, right? Now, customization, the ability to customize throughout these different kind of networks, sure. You have more combinatorics, you have more combinations, sure. Nonetheless, none of these, when you move into the modular world, what you have to pay attention to is what is their underlying protocol? Like, how does their local protocol work? How does their VRF work? How does their cross-chain communication work? Not that I use them, but really, got to understand what is weakest link. The weakest link is only 2 nodes, right? Then you would just really hurt your security guarantee. So now, if you make these decisions, you make the wrong decision, it could be very costly. The layer 2 modular system has created many combinatorics, and there will be many interesting experiments. So we'll get to that. Nonetheless, there's also going to be many failures. When I say failures, I'm not saying projects fail, I'm saying hacks and rug pulls and vulnerabilities and intentional, but also ideally non-intentional, but there will be some intentional problems here. Now, so yeah, as I mentioned, each of these additional layers add costs, broken security adds more latency, and also your developer has to manage different frameworks, different programming languages, manage multiple gas tokens. The modular dev world experience is actually harder than what we're building, because we're building everything in-house, vertically integrated, fully vertical integration is one framework. So this is our appeal to developers. We introduced a better way to build through full vertical integration. So now Supra offers multi-VM support, automation service, cross-chain communication services, price feeds, on-chain randomness. There'll be verifiable compute. These are being rolled out step by step. We're starting with our layer 1 and Oracle and VRF. Those are live right now. And our version 2 for each of those are all being rolled out right now in testnet to mainnet. Our cross-chain bridge, our cross-chain communication protocol, it's moving from prototype to testing version, what's called alpha, and then audits before we deploy it. Automation services, all designed. We're starting to work on that more deeply. And these things are being rolled out step by step over the next several months. But this idea that you can get everything you need, VM, smart contracts from EVM, Solana VM, Cosmwasm, MoveLang, AppleSuite. And by the way, how does Supra handle this? We do execution sharding through our randomized tribes and clans architecture, right? As I described earlier, a lot of things, execution, price feeds, VRF, guess what? They all need only 51% of a subcommittee to execute. Isn't that such an interesting insight? So let's move on to consensus. So our moonshot consensus, right? Accepted into a top academic venue among the same tier as major innovations from projects that we respect, such as Atlas and Suite. And of course, we respect many others. In our test of 125 nodes across 5 global regions, from like the United States to Australia to, I think it was maybe Singapore and 2 others, Europe, etc. I think Europe and South Africa. We were running our tests to understand global consensus, latency, and throughput that our system could handle. And this is not even a fully optimized implementation. So we are actually running some tweaks here that are going to enhance our performance, we believe. And in that test, and this is fairly recent, I think, I don't know, maybe 24 days ago, we hit 500,000 transactions per second throughput, 530,000 throughput. And we have optimistic finality on the order of 500 milliseconds and full finality in 1 to 2 seconds, 1 to 1.5, roughly 1 to 2 seconds there. Now, this is moonshot. Now, our Sailfish protocol that I mentioned earlier, that has different properties. It's even faster. Throughput, however, is a consideration we need to be looking into. And also, how do these protocols scale with more nodes is something we're also investigating. So many times you see these reports on chain, especially on Twitter right now, about extreme performance. Because we all want extreme performance, right? By the way, high throughput, low latency consensus algorithms per contract platform, that is table stakes. We all want that. Everyone wants that. And everyone expects to have that. But bringing in Oracle, crossing communication, on-chain randomness, automation, all into one system, that is a more complex task. That's where we're actually leaders in that right now. And probably always will be, because that was our initial design. Like we did that on purpose. There are other systems. Eigenlayer is introducing restaking, and that enables basically these AVSs, active validator services, to provide what are effectively Oracle services on top of Ethereum as an afterthought. It wasn't the original design. We did this on purpose. They're doing it. They're doing it because they know it's a good idea, and it's also a good idea to restaking is a very interesting, compelling idea. Now, Aptos is rolling out their verifiable random function, right? Sui is rolling out their cross-chain bridge. Their insights are in sync with Eigenlayer. They're collective with Supra as well. Our insights are utilize the existing node operators, right? Utilize them to do more things because they can. It can be good doing consensus, no problem. How much bandwidth, first principles, right? How much bandwidth, how much compute is available for each node? And accordingly, that's what they can be doing. So I actually joked with Dr. Shram, founder of Eigenlayer at Berkeley, I guess a year and a half ago already, that these blockchains today, like on Ethereum, those nodes are like our blockchains today is these global computers. I'm not trying to say anything bad about Ethereum. Of course not. That is granddaddy, right? Bitcoin's granddaddy, but that's still like the prince, right? And nonetheless, we agreed and we're joking that blockchains today are like the ENIACs. ENIAC was like one of those first computers that could barely do anything. It took the size in a room and the calculations were very small. And we both agreed that you can do a lot more with existing compute and bandwidth with the same node, same validated node, be doing more. So yeah, moving forward here, as we mentioned, we offer multi-VM support. We're starting with Move language, actually. We think that the work done at Facebook, right? We should pay homage to Mark Zuckerberg for bankrolling that initial initiative. And that kind of blossomed into, after they degraded the program, that blossomed into Sui and Aptos. But the Move language, they're slightly different. They're different, but still, there's a lot of wonderful kind of contributions there. By the way, Facebook is good at languages. Right? They created GraphQL. They created, I think it was React and MoveLang. Others, I'm probably missing and messing that up, but they're good at languages and they invested heavily into this. And Sam at Sui, CTO Sui, was like the main creator of Move language. He did a really good job. And the team collectively, they all did a really good job to bring more security and safety to blockchain, right? And then we have EVM, Ethereum. That's just like one calls it JavaScript Web3. It's not going anywhere. There's just too much momentum, right? And then you have Solana, which is growing incredibly fast. And that's their smart contracts are written in Rust, and Rust is Smooth is also the variation of Rust and such. And then you have Cosmos with all these other chains and such. There's a lot of existing applications out there that could benefit from native Oracle, native cross-chain communication, native automation, native on-chain verifiable random function. They can just do more with their existing code, just modify it. So we think this is going to be really exciting, because these Supra dApps that exists already on these other chains can do even more things with Supra, with their vertical integration, right? So once again, we have Supra Tribe. Each of the clans are doing various services. So one clan can be doing our decentralized Oracle agreement, Dora. One clan can be doing a verifiable random function. One clan can be doing the execution sharding for the Move virtual machine. Another one's for the EVM, Solana VM, so on and so forth. Now, this slide is not showing this because there is animations. Nonetheless, we do rotate the clans to be doing different services every epoch. In this epoch right now, I might be executing the EVM. Next epoch, I might be doing Solana VM. Next epoch, I might be doing Dora, decentralized overflow agreement. So the whole point in our security design is that we randomize our nodes into clans. These animation would be showing these circles moving from one place to another. And we also randomize the clans assigned to different tasks. in an unpredictable manner. Now, this allows us to do very interesting things, such as randomly subsetting, randomly sampling a set of the nodes in the network to do a specific service for the network, in which that service can exist in a 51% simple majority agreements. This is where we get our speed from. Multi-tribe designs are underway. We've been thinking about multi-tribe designs for several years, but this is going to be another field of topic that we'll be diving into. Okay, back to Supra dApps. What are they? What makes them super? They're lower latency. They're more secure. Simplified developer experience because one framework, one network, one token. Cheaper for builders, cheaper for end users as well. Yeah. Now imagine any dApp that's deployed across any of our VMs, virtual machines, EVM, whatnot, that leverages our Oracle price feeds, cross communication, VRF, etc. We call that a super dApp. If they use two or more of our services, they're doing something that is probably not possible elsewhere. So let's talk about some use cases. So not a use case, but what do we bring to the table at Supra, right? So we do have built-in native cross-chain communication. This is being achieved cryptographically secure and game theoretically secure through our consensus nodes. Okay, through our own protocol, we have native price feeds, right? I think around the order of 480 price feeds, crypto prices, FX prices, commodities coming soon, equities coming soon, sports data coming soon. You know, and as new use cases emerge, we'll deploy them because we have huge scale. Like we can handle lots of data and we can process it quickly, faster than anyone else. That's what our algorithms are designed to do. We have real world data that might be used for this whole like real world assets trend, native automation, native randomness, verifiable random functions. We're high throughput, we're fast, multi-VM support, cross-chain liquidity. That's interesting, right? We'll talk about that a little bit at the end of this conversation, but Supra Network and the contributors to the Supra Network can actually be providing liquidity across different chains. And we also have enshrined governance-based DeFi systems, such as that are enabled through what we call network-owned liquidity. Imagine Supra itself has a decentralized treasury that is controlled by network governance that can do interesting things, that has native DeFi capabilities. So when we talk about full vertical integration, we're talking about vertical integration, yes, of these technologies, but also DeFi primitives, right? And it's pretty interesting what we're bringing to market here. So I'm going to go through these use cases quickly because they're in the previous presentation. You can do next generation decentralized exchanges, ultra dynamic NFTs, universal identity systems, interchain data marketplaces, so on and so forth. There's many more. So in terms of DeFi Supra dApps, universal money markets, cross-chain insurance protocols, cross-chain arbitrage solutions, where you could be like, remember, you set a conditions like a limit order. Hey, if Bitcoin hits this price, sell this asset, buy this asset at this time, right? Interchain, many protocols going multi-chain. We need to figure out how to do cross-chain governance. We can handle that. Cross-chain collateral. Imagine this, you got Ether, okay? And you're like, I don't want to summon Ether, but I want to get access to the other token. We need to prove that you have that Ether, right? And then that you locked it up on Ethereum. And then that enables credit on a different wallet. Pretty cool use case. Cross-chain asset management, central bank CBDC, central bank digital currency. I think y'all know I have a certain point of view on that, which is that's very dangerous without privacy if the government controls that. Nonetheless, it probably exists, or stablecoins will exist across different chains. And so be it. Like at least Supra is just a third-party data provider, and we can provide interoperability services. Remember, a neutral infrastructure is permissionless. So that means even if stablecoins or CBDCs want to deploy our infrastructure, it's permissionless. They can, right? Different use cases. So we think that these Supra dApps will just enable the use cases that you literally cannot do anywhere else unless you created this hyper modular Frankenstein dApp, right? So we do have coming up soon. We'll be sharing a lot more on this on our website and social media soon enough. But the Super dApp Showdown is the Super dApp competition. Super dApps, this competition, folks will apply, compete. They'll have access to VCs, some of our existing venture capitalists, folks from like Google Cloud, Republic Crypto. We're talking to other existing investors like StarKey, Galaxy, et cetera, to participate as judges. And effectively what we're saying is, hey, what can you do with Supra, like with our native vertical integration services? Okay. So the last presentation was on proof of efficient liquidity. So how do you bootstrap not only sustainable liquidity, but also security? There's not too many more slides here before we can move on to the other last segments here, but move forward as a summary. What is the point of proof of efficient liquidity? Is to provide economic and security to the Supra network. So how does it work? And also for the end consumer, why would they participate? We call this a dual reward structure. So what you do is, as a end consumer, you provide collateral such as Ether, maybe Sol, maybe AVAX, maybe MATA, who knows, right? Some layer one, maybe Bitcoin, some sort of asset that has enough depth, meaning there's a lot, it's liquid. You provide that collateral. Now you're borrowing Supra from our network-owned liquidity. So remember, Supra, we hope to have a decentralized treasury that is owned collectively by the network through governance. All the participants, node operators, stakeholders, participants in our class op program, et cetera. Everyone that participates in Supra will accrue reputation or have a say in the network governance over time. So it's like a decentralized treasury that will be controlled by others. Initially, we'll bootstrap it with some amount of Supra token, and people can do the following. They can take their collateral like Ether, submit it to Supra, borrow Supra tokens. What do you do with Supra tokens? The only thing we, in this program, we allow you to do is delegate it to a node operator. You borrow, so I got Ether now. I got Supra backing, I got Ether now, and I borrow Supra, so technically Ether is backing my Supra in value. I now have Supra token, and I delegate it to a node operator for block rewards. So that node operator earns block rewards, and I get a portion of that, proportional to what I staked with that block reward, block producer. So that's the slide here where you borrow Supra from the network-owned liquidity, you delegate Supra to node operators. The other part is that ETH I provided, this is where it gets really interesting, is also providing liquidity into our decentralized vaults. Okay, so your ETH is now in the Supra vault on Ethereum. You provided native assets like Ether to our vaults. Our system has cross-chain communication understanding that yes, these assets are here. You borrow Supra from our network-owned liquidity. It's what's backing that Supra is your collateral, which is the Ether. Okay. And you delegate that Supra token to a node operator. You select a node operator you trust. And now you proportionally earn a stake, not stake, but a block reward. As a node operator creates blocks and it's rewarded, you get proportional to your stake. Subtle point here, you provided your Ether to the vaults, the cross-chain Supra vault on Ethereum. Now you will be earning possible, let's put it this way, let me watch my language here. This is possibly a yield generation event for you as well, where people are borrowing assets across their cross-chain network, Supra. So some people want to converge some other token, an other layer one token perhaps, into Ether as a cross-chain AMM, so to speak. There's fees generated. And if your capital is being utilized, you get proportionally that amount of fees. So you have some yield from that. Your capital has been provided to the vault. It's been through a decentralized non-custodial manner, cross-chain lent out or borrowed, and you're earning yield on that. but you're also simultaneously, we call it a dual reward mechanism. You're earning a reward on your Supra that you buy that has been delegated to a node operator. So we think this is sustainable revenue or yield rather for those that participate in PoEL, proof of efficient liquidity. So remember, Supra offers multiple services and thus has multiple revenue streams for the network. Okay. Now, as these on-chain activities increase, we can adjust the proof of efficient liquidity, PoEL, and block reward subsidies. Remember, block rewards are actually subsidies, right? And Supra will be, it is a multi-service architecture, like a microservice architecture where one system can handle many different services. There's more revenue streams as a result than any other layer one because we offer more services. Moreover, we're connected to 80 ecosystems. Eventually, as we give our price feed data, on-chain randomness services, automation services, cross-chain communication services to those ecosystems, those would be fee generating. So all those, the proliferation of these layer ones, layer twos, layer threes, subnets, pair chains, etc., zones, as they adopt our solutions, naturally, it's very common that they pay for their own services. Now, luckily for us, we don't have to churn fees on for a long time because that's not our core business model. So as our competitors churn their fees on, they really haven't done that yet, but they will. They talk about it already. We can still remain secure, low latency, and inexpensive because we don't have to turn our fees on. But eventually, we also turn our fees on. Great. And that's going to be a revenue source for the network on liquidity, the decentralized treasury, and node operators, and those that are delegated to them. So this is important because we get to modulate block rewards. We try to use them sustainably so that it's healthier. Let's put it down the network. All right. So yeah, we get to drive network effects across both layer one users and native automatic market maker AMM users. Moving forward here. Okay, I guess that's the end of that presentation. I think what we're going to be jumping into next is the StarKey wallet. So remember, layer one blockchains, they need more than just smart contracts and all that stuff is hard to build, distributed network consensus, etc. That's great. But you need a user interface. But you need to have a wallet. Now, what Supra is focusing on is our key focus is what is the biggest way to onboard many users after interviewing many people and also being in the industry myself for going on 7 years. It's obviously people are scared to lose their keys, right? Their private key or get exposed or these hacks or whatever. So we are focused on key recovery schemes, meaning, oh, I lost my key. The problem with the current status quo with key recoveries, here's some random words for you to remember, right? You answer the random words in the right order, you can get your result. But the problem is that the human brain is not built to build connections to multiple random things. So you don't have any emotional connection or association to these random words. So it's hard for you to remember. So you end up writing it down. You end up emailing it to yourself. You end up taking a photo of it. And what happens is that's someone hacks your computer, email, or whatever, your phone, then it's there. So that's where a lot of these problems are happening in blockchain. So we focus on key recovery schemes. We're focusing on one today. We have a couple more in the pipeline that we'll reveal over time. With that said, let's jump into the StarKey demo.
Hi all, today we're taking a look at Supra's own multi-chain, multi-VM wallet, the StarKey wallet. Let's kick off our demo here. So the first thing we want to do is create our StarKey wallet. It's very simple. First, let's create a new wallet, name the wallet, and finally set a password. Agree to the terms and conditions, click next. When you're creating your wallet, you'll have to set up at least one backup recovery method. We have two recovery methods. The first is the secret phrase recovery, which is usually the norm in Web3 non-custodial wallets. Now, StarKey also introduces a new, easier wallet recovery option called split recovery to secure wallets' keys. This method can help you recover your wallet even if you've forgotten your secret recovery phrase. Split recovery splits your recovery key into 3 files, or key shards, and helps you store each shard in a different location. Let's take a look at how this works. By the way, whichever recovery method you choose here, you can always change your mind and set the alternative backup method later in the wallet setting. For example, if you choose split recovery here, you can still set up the secret phrase recovery backup later. Okay, let's go ahead and select split recovery here. Let's click on split recovery, click on get started. First, we'll need to create a password to encrypt your key shards. Then we need to save your shards. The first place you can store the key is on Google Drive. Let's log into Google Drive and click backup. The second location could be your local device, your computer, so you can just download the key right here. For the third one, we recommend keeping it with a guardian. You can download the file to your device itself and then send it over to a guardian whom you trust. Once you've done that, your account is created and your wallet is secured. Okay, let's also take a quick look at the secret phrase recovery method as well. This is pretty standard. Just create a new wallet, set name and password, agree here, and then go ahead and set up your secret phrase. Now you can simply click here to reveal the secret phrase, and you can even download it to your device or just save it however you prefer. Then we just verify and confirm the secret phrase, and that's about it. Just like that, you have successfully created your StarKey wallet. Let's also check how StarKey's split recovery works to recover your account. So when the wallet opens up like this, simply press on this button saying, I already have one, to import an existing account with one of three ways: split recovery, secret phrase, or private key. You'll want to choose the option that you set up your wallet with here. For example, if you created your wallet with split recovery, that's the option that you would pick here. If you enabled both split recovery and secret phrase, then you could choose any of the three. Coming to recovering your wallet with split recovery, let's click here and put the encryption password you set up earlier. Now you see 3 links to choose from. You can choose any 2 of them to recover your wallet. For example, you can choose either Google Drive and device, or you could go with device and guardian. Let's choose the device and guardian for this one. Now all you need to do is upload the file from your device and get the file you have sent to your guardian and upload it here. With 2 files, the correct password, you can click the Recovery Wallet button, and you're in. Just set up your name and new password, and you're good to go. Next up, let's take a quick look at secret phrase recovery again. You'll click the I already have one button and select the secret recovery phrase. Now you can simply paste your secret recovery phrase here and hit next. Then just set up the name and new password. Agree to the terms and conditions, and you're in. And the last recovery method would be the private key method, and it works similarly to the secret phrase method. Select I already have one and go for the private key option. Now you can enter your private key here and recover your account. Set up the name and the new password, agree to the terms and conditions, and you're in. All right, let's take a look at the actual wallet now. This is the home page, and you can see the total value of your tokens up top. And then here you can choose the networks. Ethereum and Supra networks wallets will be created by default. And you can also create wallets for other supported networks like Aptos. We're going to add support for more and more chains over time. Over here, you can add any custom token that you like. Just search for a particular token or import it with a token address from any supported network. It's also super easy to sort your tokens and manage how they show up here. You can sort it according to your favorites, highest value, lowest value. If you head over to your profile section, you can customize the account's name and image as well. We have some default images here so you can mess around with. You can also find the private key to your account here. If you want to create sub-accounts, you can also do that as well. Set a name, select an image, and create a sub-account in just a few clicks. Importing additional wallets or accounts can also be done here. When you select the import wallet option, you simply choose a network that you want to import on, paste the private key, and click next. Then just name it, set an image, and the wallet will be imported into your StarKey wallet. Now let's take a closer look at the token page. Let's click on ETH and check it out. Immediately, the wallet shows you all the details you need to see up front. You see the amount of tokens, buttons to send or receive, the market price, and your transaction history as well. When you scroll down, you'll also find it very easy to add this to your favorites here. Now let's see how you can share your address to receive a token. Just head over to the networks here and choose the token that you want to receive. For example, if you want to receive ETH, this would be a wallet address. Now just copy the wallet address and send it over to the person who wants to send you some ETH. You can also select Ethereum over here. Click on Apply, and the wallet address will be available for you to actually copy and send it to your contact. Another method is for you to click on ETH token. Click the Receive button and get the address or a shareable QR code here. You can also share any of these with your contacts or friends. Sending tokens is pretty simple as well. Just choose the token that you'd like to transfer, select the send option on the token page, and enter the recipient address. You'll also get a prompt to add the recipient to your address book in case you want to send something to them again later. Okay, now you can enter the amount of ETH you want to send and set a fee here, ranging between minimum fee, maximum fee, or moderate fee. The moment you adjust the slider, you can actually see the estimated gas fee as well as the estimated time changes over here. So if it's at the lowest, you'll have the lowest estimated gas fee. Low gas transactions can tend to take a long time for transaction to go through, while it gets faster with the estimated moderate or between gas fee. Lastly, you can review your transaction. Double check here whether the wallet address is correct. Check the gas fee, estimated time, and the total cost. If it all looks good, you can confirm and click Send here. Just like that, you've used a StarKey wallet to send a transaction. Okay, now let's move on to the settings section. First thing you see here is the option to set StarKey as your default wallet. This is automatically activated, and it's very easy to switch on or off according to your preference. Then we have the address book. You can open up the address book and add any addresses you might want to store in your particular wallet. For example, if you click on Add Address, this particular address is automatically saved. This address book makes it very easy to send tokens regularly. We have some security features as well. We already took a look at the different recovery methods earlier. This menu can help you set up any alternative recovery method you'd like to have. For example, you already created your wallet with split recovery, but also want to set up a secret phrase option as well. Then you just need to go to the secret recovery page over here and set up the recovery method. The same goes for the split recovery method as well. Coming to the password protection step, where you can activate this for an extra security layer. So whenever you're swapping or sending a particular token, StarKey will ask you to enter your password in order to proceed. The wallet also has a visibility setting, so you can hide your balances or amounts by selecting this. We also have a customizable auto lock timer, so you can set a timer so your wallet doesn't remain logged in on all your devices. So for example, if you set this to 5 minutes, the wallet will automatically be blocked after 5 minutes of inactivity. The last security setting we have is the login password, which allows you to change your password into a new one. Oh, by the way, we have test mode. This will be on by default, and you can always switch this on or off as well. This gives you access to test tokens on different blockchains and testnet networks. So we give you the option or the ability to toggle between testnet and mainnet on different blockchain networks. Finally, we have this feedback and help section here. This will redirect you to a web page where you can seek support and also offer feedback as well. That's it. That's the StarKey wallet. I hope you're as excited as we are at Supra for the launch of the StarKey wallet to onboard the next million and then the next billion users to Web3. Thank you, everyone.
All right. Yeah, key recovery is a major thing. What you've seen is just the tip of the iceberg of what's in the kind of product roadmap. So,
Yep.
well,
I'm
yeah,
seeing a lot of people in the chat that are excited about the launch. Many people are asking, hey, when are we going to get StarKey wallet? A lot of exciting, people in the chat.
so that's great. That's great. Actually, we definitely will be doing a community AMA shortly. We have one more thing to go through. Now, to answer that specific question, though, so remember, Project Blastoff, our gamified learning curve program, is setting a world record because we KYC'd all the users, right? All of you that participate in that, you had to go through KYC with a traditional Web2 company, and it costs a lot of money for us actually to do it. But we felt like it was the best way to make sure that it's a fair gamified learning program. So there's over 520,000 in total that have actually finished KYC. And you folks will be token holders. You guys are all going to be token holders of Supra token at TGE. To gain access to your token, you have to download StarKey Wallet. So it's coming soon. It's been there. The time and dates.
Yeah, I think it's a trick. It's hey, when TGE, they're like, hey, when StarKey wallet. So we get it, guys. We get it. We see that.
We're working towards that. It's coming soon. But please be patient. You have to understand, community, that some of these things are out of our control too. We have to work with other institutions. So I'll tell you what, there's another major product. So first of all, StarKey Wallet, key recovery is our kind of bread and butter. We have some interesting approaches that's going to make us different than others, but we're multi-chain support, as you can see. Now, Supra we're trying to be an interoperability hub, a place where you can do many things from one place, like the headquarters for all the cross-chain activities you ever want to do. That's also part of our mission. And we also, as a result, every ecosystem needs what? You need your whole platform, you need a wallet, you also need a cross-chain explorer, or rather you need a block explorer. Now, what we've been also working on through our product folks at Supra is a cross-chain explorer. So our wallet is cross-chain enabled, and our exchange, I meant to say Super Scan, I don't know where that came from, is also meant to be a cross-chain explorer, right? So let me actually just pull up my screen to demo this in real time here. Can you guys see my screen right now? Because I can't see. I think you guys can see my screen, right?
I can see it.
Okay, perfect.
I can read chat.
Okay, good. So yeah, Supra, we are multi-chain support. This is a multi-chain block explorer. These are natural evolutions of these things, right? Just like vertical integration is a natural evolution for blockchain technology. For block explorers, it's completely natural evolution for a singular block explorer to be cross-chain enabled. Right, so let's go ahead and just take a look at the interface here. I had preloaded a transaction. Remember, these things are in development, but we've been working on both the wallets and SuperScan for over a year. So we're bringing this to market as quickly as we can, and we're very close. So this is an example. Here's a simplified view. We really focused on user experience, keeping the interface as simple as possible. And we'll continue to invest more to make it as easy as possible. And for more advanced users, we can move into the full data mode, get more of the information. There's some really interesting things that we're bringing to market here. And remember, everything we do, from our protocols to our products, it's constant iteration with the occasional conceptual leap, right? And if you just grind on that for a long period of time, you will end up with a great product. It's inevitable, you know? Moving forward, here's an example of a Bitcoin transaction on SuperScan. And same thing, if you want to view more information, see the full data, you can expand out. Excuse me, I'm going to have to blame this one on the Bitcoin network, but no, it's just a joke. So as you can see, it's an early prototype, not even prototype, but like we're still in QA. Nonetheless, this is coming out soon also. We're talking about weeks or months max. So very excited about what we're bringing to market. This is also, you're going to be able to connect to your StarKey wallet. And what's interesting is if you connect to your StarKey wallet and you have the balance and you prove that you're a token holder, et cetera, there's going to be advanced features at SuperScan that you can do. So this is a product, it's a service. The wallet's a product service, sure. The SuperScan is as well. But as you can see, that Supra does really try to focus on capabilities and user experience and making sure that we can bring this technology to the masses. Okay, so that's it for this. I think it's time for us to move on to the AMA. We can probably do 10, 15 minutes here to answer questions. I know first question is going to be when TGE, the most annoying question to me. I'm just playing with you. I understand where you're coming from. I've been in your shoes, definitely understand. Nonetheless, the answer is, I'll just jump into it before I'll preemptively answer because I see it on my Twitter all the time, right? It's not only up to us. You know, we are talking to some very important institutions and organizations in this industry. They have their process. It takes some. And I think we might be, I don't want to say a date because you miss the date by 1 second and your Twitter gets blown up. Right now, I do want you to know that our scope is very large. It's probably what's been described to us through a KOL as the biggest blockchain infrastructure play in the entire world. And it's true. This is not just a layer 1 smart contract platform. It's a multi-smart contract platform, multi-VM smart contract platform. It has oracles. It has cross-chain communication. It has automation. It has on-chain randomness. Remember, to do Supra, it's literally like 10 protocols and then unifying it with the elegant design architecture and implementing it now thereafter. It's a lot. And we're also bringing to market the wallets, the cross-chain explorer, right? So the date for TGE is not known. It's not even known to me, but it's close. That's all I can say.
Yep.
But yeah, let's hit some questions. Yeah.
In chat, if you have a question, you can start posting it and I'll read it off. There were a couple questions that were towards StarKey wallet. So we'll go through those. We went through the first question, which was when StarKey wallet. The second question was, will we be able to import wallets from other networks or from MetaMask? For example, if you have an Ethereum wallet, will you be able to import that into the StarKey wallet?
Yeah, absolutely. You can. These permissionless systems are built this way that if you have a public key and the private key, you can absolutely import it.
Okay, great. And any other questions? We can bring them in here. Okay, there we go. When do we expect to use the StarKey wallet app? Yeah, we covered this question a little bit. This is a when TGE question as well, because as Josh said, we're going to be able to connect the StarKey wallet to Project Blastoff, and this all has to happen towards TGE. So more information on that shortly.
Yeah, but I will just tell you guys some more alpha here. Yeah, is you'll have to download your wallet to claim your Project Blastoff token. Sure, that's available at TGE. Remember, 10% is available immediately. However, this is also going to be required for you to, if you optionally want to delegate your tokens to node operators. You have the option, you'll see, to one-click delegate your Project Blastoff tokens to node operators who will be creating blocks, who will be earning block rewards, and proportional to your delegation, you'll be earning block rewards. So I think a lot of you will do that. That's what we're moving towards. We're really excited about that. We hope that maybe 300,000 up to 500,000, if not more, participate in this program to quote unquote, once again, quote unquote, is compound your results. Your Project Blastoff gamified learn-to-earn program airdrop, you can delegate it to node operators on Supra and perhaps earn more block rewards as a result. That's coming soon. We're working towards that for you all.
Okay, we have another question about tests before mainnet. Will we have or allow applications to build on Supra's testnet before we launch mainnet?
Yes. So this is on the order of a couple of weeks from now. We're going to open it up to select developers to deploy the smart contracts. Remember, we're launching first with Move language, and then EVM, and then probably Solana VM, and then probably Cosmos. So it's a step-by-step unfolding of the various applications, or sorry, virtual machines. And for Move language smart contracts, you will be able to reach out to us and we'll get you on. It's going to be step-by-step. We're moving from, monitoring the health of our testnet stress testing, etc., to furthermore preparing it fully for mainnet. Now, Supra's mainnet alpha has been live since April 14th last year, over a year already. And we've been hardening our protocols, upgrading them. Now, enabling smart contracts and developers to deploy is around the corner. So let's just say approximately 2-3 weeks from now, just reach out to us through Discord, whatnot. We'd be happy for you to deploy. We'd be happy to get your feedback. We'd be happy to get to know you as well.
Okay, great. So the next question is about where will we be able to use StarKey Wallet? Will it have Android support, iPhone, web? And I can say in the beginning, it'll be mostly web support, and slowly we'll be introducing Android and then iPhone capabilities. So you'll be able to use the app on your phone directly. But first off, web only, and then we will support Android and iPhone. Okay, so the next question is, what will Supra's L1 mainnet launch look like? Will it have all services live and any dApps at launch? Will this be the same time as TGE?
The launch look like some of the steps you'll be notified, especially if you're a Project Blast Hub participant. Remember, 500,000 people, more than that, KYC and participated in this program. We don't have a Sybil problem. Supra does not have a Sybil attack problem because we did this, right? Layer 0 has a Sybil attack problem. Others have some problems there as well. So the step one is, hey, connect your accounts. And by the way, just so you know, Supra, like us at our organization, don't really care about your identity. The KYC stuff, we don't really care about that. We just want to know you're actually an individual person. That's it. That's all we want to know. So you'll be notified to download the StarKey wallet, okay? And then you'll be notified to delegate your stake or not, and show you how to do it. And you'll be able to connect your StarKey wallet to the Project Blast Off platform itself, right? The GameFi Learner program. You'll connect it so we know how much tokens you have earned. And then from there, TGE, and there's some things that we cannot mention just yet, but let's just say that the Project Blast Off show must go on, and it will, in a different format. And it's really interesting. We can't reveal too much, but definitely some interesting, good alpha coming up in that regard. So make sure you pay attention to our outreach, social media, email, especially for token holders, because sometimes things might look like they're going slowly, but they're actually going really fast. And there's some things in the pipeline around the corner that we need you to pay attention to if you want to claim your token and maximize TGE experience for yourself. Now, I did see another question briefly about StarKey Wallet. I just want to address it really quickly. They asked if you can convert from Solana to Ether to Solana through StarKey. That is a feature that's being worked on. It's already been designed. It's just not rolled out. So it'll take some time, but we'll get there. Certainly. Now, remember, what's cool about this is that it's non-custodial, meaning we don't hold your keys, we don't hold your asset, you control your assets. But if Supra itself has cross-chain communication capabilities, if Supra itself has liquidity pools across various layer ones, and has this cross-chain AMM capability with native price feeds, then we aim to be the fastest, best execution for your cross-chain transactions. And the interface can be Project Blast Off, it can be your wallet itself, it can be some other dApp. But yes, we're looking into that. Let's put it that way. We've been looking into that for some time.
That's right. There's a question about, will TGE be open to all countries? I don't think we can have a direct answer to that, because TGE, of course, we want to be launching on the top exchanges that exist, but of course, those exchanges have their own rules. And so we can't directly answer this question, but of course, we're going to try to work with the exchanges that have the most reach. So no promises there, but yeah, we'll make that effort.
Yeah, we're going to have to talk to our legal team on, in the end, what do these institutions, legal teams, exchanges say? That's probably going to be the answer. There's certain things that had to be honored, Let's put it that way.
There's a question about if StarKey wallet will be able to connect to a hardware wallet like Ledger. And the thing is, what we can say now is we are looking into it, and our team is making effort to do that. I don't know if we'll have that capability at TGE, but know that we want hardware wallet compatibility with StarKey.
Definitely.
Okay, maybe a couple more questions here. There's a question about what kinds of dApps are coming to Supra. And we did touch upon that a little bit in the presentation today in terms of what kind of super dApps could our network enable. And Josh, you did talk about the super dApp competition. And so just letting people know that we do have a lot of interest from developers and applications that want to launch an application in the super dApp competition. So I would say more news to that is coming. And we can't necessarily at the moment.
Right. I can say that we have 300 plus MOUs across many ecosystems from projects that want to utilize our services. And about 60 of them are also saying that they'll deploy it directly on Supra as well. And this outreach is recent. So there's a lot of interest in our Super dApp competition. We have 60, maybe 61 MOUs of folks that will participate in Supra. In our Super dApp competition. They range from DeFi to SocialFi to GameFi, the major categories. So what kind of dApps are going to Supra? Yeah, DeFi, SocialFi, GameFi, DeFi, yeah, standard.
And I guess one more question here, and I'm not so sure if I can answer this completely or if Josh and I can answer this. We have to be very careful with wording. But when will the airdrop qualifying activities end? So this is a question that might be difficult to answer directly, but the idea is that as we do this dApp competition and further into the future, we hope that there are incentives, whether it's through a Supra token or other projects or other applications launching on Supra. We would hope that there would be continued incentives. We don't know, and that can't be promised, but that would be what I would like. So Josh, like, to build an ecosystem, we want applications. We talk to these applications that want to build on Supra right now, and we say, hey, we have 500,000, we have 500,000 users that are a part of Project Blastoff, that we can bring eyes to your project. And so they're excited, the dApp is excited. But then how do we get our users to continue to come back and be interested in those applications? And so you can think like it would be great if we had a way of incentivizing both sides. So I'll just say that I think that's a very safe thing to say, is that we all want incentives, right? And we all want the game and incentives to keep coming, including myself.
Well, I think we can say that these Super dApp competition winners, these applications, many protocols have their own token.
Yeah,
I think that kind of how it's right.
Yeah,
they win. They might launch on Supra's Blastoff program. They may or may not airdrop their token. It's not even up to us, by the way. It's up to them.
Exactly. We can't guarantee that.
Right. In our audience, however, I think we'll continue to grow. We just think this will be a perpetual launch for dApps. So application developers in the audience right now, if you win the competition, remember, we're having these every 3 months, every quarter. We'll do this for some time here. If you win across the major categories, DeFi, SocialFi, or GameFi, you will have access to a week of our audience who will engage your dApp. And we will probably ask you straight up, if you can airdrop to those participants, go for it. It's good activity. If you're probably a good dApp, you made it to the finals, you're a finalist in the Super dApp competition, judged by real, like, sophisticated judges, right? Anyways, yeah, that's something that's coming around the corner for all.
From Alpha there, some hints.
Yeah.
Okay, I think that's a good place to end, because I think that keeps people on their toes. People are like, oh, interesting, that there might be a reason to come back. There might not be, but a little bit of alpha and hints there for our audience and our chat here. Thank you, everyone that has attended each of our seminars. Josh, do we have anything else to go through before we end?
I would just say tune in next week and the week after. There's some interesting final steps that protocols and ideas that will really bring this together. The next one I believe is dynamic function market maker. How do we do this cross-chain AMM? How does that work in this environment? Another one will be on a parallel execution strategy. We've been working on this for some time, meaning how do you process large amounts of transactions as efficiently as possible across your validator nodes, CPU, and threads? We're taking it to that level. Efficient parallel execution across CPU cores and threads. We have a very good design. We're collecting the data right now. That data should be available in a couple of weeks, and we'll showcase it in the webinar. That's about it for today.
All right. I think this went well. Thank you, Josh. Thank you, everyone in the audience, and see you next time.